what I want to look at today is just a little bit of that story of what happens in Sodom when the angels, the malachim, the people come and they meet up with Lot. So the Torah tells us the following: that these two malachim go to Sodom in the evening. Lot Yoshev b'shar Sodom, and Lot is sitting there at the gates of Sodom. Vayar Lot, vayakam likratam, vayishtachu apayim arza. And it seems to be a very nice story that Sodom is, that Lot is sitting at the gate. It's lovely. It seems to be saying a similar thing. He's waiting for visitors, but the way that he greets and what he does is different from Avram. It says vayakam likratam. He got up in front of them. With Avram, it says vayaratz likratam. So we can see that he's got a certain level of understanding of what it is that he needs to do. That's appropriate behavior that he learned from Avram, but he doesn't do it with zrizut. He doesn't do it with amazing alacrity. And then he says to these people, Adonai suruna el beit avadchem velinu v'rachtu raglechem. Said, come to my house and rest, and then you'll wash your feet. And then you'll get up and go on your way. They said, no, we'll spend the night in the streets. Now, it's important, again, to contrast Lot. Avram, it says, come and let me wash your feet, and then he'll give them to eat. He wanted to wash them feet. Rashi explains he wanted to wash their feet from any type of the dust of avodah zarah. Where here, Lot doesn't worry about that. It's clear that Lot learned certain things from Avram Avinu, but again, he's not such a Zoris. He's not so careful about things. And the truth is that these are things that I saw from some of the Balei Musar, that the Balei Musar said we need to be careful with this. These are the learning from Lot. We say we'll never be like Lot, but sometimes we are. We learn certain things from our parents' homes, from our teachers' homes, from people that we see, and we take some of those things on, but we don't do them with the same alacrity because we're not so committed to them. And really, that's what we need to be aware of is as we go in our lives, is to find those things that drive us, that make us do things with a great alacrity. Okay, so Lot urges them to stay, and they come into his house. He made them mishte and matzos. Now, this whole thing of mishte means, excuse me, a feast, and matzot, and he baked matzot. So the question is, why does he bake matzot? So according to some of the opinions, they're very simple. The reason he baked matzot is because it's, as Rashi said, it was Pesach. And since it was Pesach, he's quite a traditional person. He's got these traditions from Avram Avinu, and it's Pesach, so he has matzot. But there's another opinion that doesn't want to give him such kavod that he actually recognized Pesach and said simply, when people came, the quickest bread to bake is matzah. And it's not matzah like we have matzah, this hard, horrible matzah. Matzah by the Temanim, by the Yemenites, their matzah is a flat, soft, easy to eat, because it's like a pita. You take a pita, and as long as you've made your dough within 18 minutes and you throw it in the fire, then that's all you need. We have reasons why we have to have our hard, and it's got the holes inside and all those things. That's not the time for now, but it was a nice, easy to make, simple bread. And then what happens? Terem yishkavu. Just before they had actually laid down, before they were ready to sleep. That the people from Sodom come and they surround the house. From the youngsters to the old ones, everybody is gathering around the house. Now Rashi says that the following. Rashi says, this is how to learn in the Midrash. Says that that before they would lie down, the people came and said to Lot, who are these people? What are they doing? But people are still speaking. Rashi is saying that all of a sudden there was this massive thing that was going on, and everybody from Sodom came out there to find out what was going on and why he had people in his house. The Netziv points out something quite fascinating. And the Netziv always points these things out because his whole way is to find out things in the words that don't really make sense and don't really work. And what he noticed here is that it says minar va'ad zakein, the youngsters to the old ones. And what he points out is that there's a lack of derech eretz here. The young people are coming first before the older people. And if that's the case, it seems that the whole breakdown in society of Sdom is being manifested in this small little incident that happens with Lot and these two malachim. Vayikra'u el Lot, they called Lot, vayomer lo, ayeh hanashim asher ba'u elecha alayla. Where are those people that came tonight? Hoitzienu aleinu v'neida'a otam. Bring them out to us, v'neida'a otam, and let us know them. Rashi says, what does that mean? That they had nefarious intention, but mishkav zachar. They wanted to have some type of sexual relationship with these men, and that's why they wanted them. So already you've seen the breakdown of derech eretz. We're now seeing the breakdown of normal sexual behavior, and this is all indicative of where it says right at the beginning about how bad the area of Sodom was, is that everything was just off. And I'm not talking about, I'm not making a commentary on LGBT things. I'm talking about what's going on there in those times and how the Torah presents it in the way that it presents it. So what does Lot do? Lot goes out to the entrance, and he closes the door behind him. So that's very nice. Lot is now going to show some type of protection to these people by going out to and making sure that the door is closed in order that they couldn't do anything from him. Vayomer al na achai tarei. Says, please, guys, achai, my brothers. Al na achai tarei. Now that word achai is a very powerful word because we find out later on when Yaakov goes down to Haran and he finds himself at the well and he sees all these shepherds there, he goes up to them and he calls them achai as well. He calls them my brothers as well. And there, the commentaries explain that he was speaking to them in a term of friendliness, in a term of endearment, in order to get them on his side. Here, he says to them, Al na achai tareh, please don't do anything that's so bad. He's saying my brothers. Why is he saying my brothers? Because that's how they refer to each other. Lot was part and parcel of the society of Sodom, and therefore he's coming up and he's saying to them, please don't do something like that. That would be so terrible. Hinei, what can you do? Hinei, na li shtei banot. I have these two daughters. Asher lo yadu ish, that have not known any man. Otzia na ethen alechem. Let me bring them out to you. Va'asulam katov b'einechem. Do whatever you want with them. Rak la'nashim ha'el al ta'asu davar ki al ken ba'u b'tzel krasi. But don't do anything to these men, because the reason they came unto me is because of because they felt that they'd be safe. So do whatever you want with my daughters, but you can't do whatever you want. But don't touch these men. This obviously is one of the most shocking episodes that we can see, that Lot is prepared to give over his daughters to this crowd to do whatever they want in order to save these people. It's complete warpedness. I don't know if there's a better word than that. The complete warped concept of chesed. We have to remember that chesed, doing chesed for others, has to come with a level of gevurah, has to come with a level of boundaries. And that's why we speak about Avram, Yitzchak, and Yaakov, as Avram is chesed, Yitzchak is gevurah, and Yaakov is tiferet, because there has to be a synthesis of chesed and gevurah, because without that you have unbridled chesed, and this is the absolute example. Lot was taught to look after his visitors. He's prepared to look after his visitors at the expense of his own daughters. And perhaps one could say, and I've tried to find this, but I haven't found it. I found a hint to it somewhere, but I can't remember exactly where it was. But perhaps one could say that it's this kind of behavior, this complete warped behavior, that is in the minds now even of the daughters of Lot, that enables and empowers and kind of drives them to do what they do later on, when they sleep with their father because they're worried that there are no other men in the world. And so therefore this is one of those shocking episodes that one really needs to look at a little bit more. By Yomru, but they said, hold on a second, Gash Hala. They said, no, go away. We don't want you there. Lloyd Ratsu Bakach, says the Malbim. That's not what they wanted. Explains the Malbim that that's not because they had these major desires that for these men, sexual desires, but the real reason is that they just wanted to. It wasn't a sexual desire thing. It was a power thing. They wanted to overcome these men in order to show them who's the boss, and that they can't just come into their city willy-nilly. And they said, hold on a second, you know what? You came here, lagur means you came here to live here, vayishpot shafat, and you become a judge, right? Ata nara lacha mehem, says, you know what, we're going to speak now. Nara lacha mehem, we're going to make it even worse for you, then we're going to make it for them. And they pushed against this man Lot. And not only that, they were trying to break down the door. And so what happens? Now Lot is in danger. They're going to break down the door. The men, i.e. the Malachim, stretch out their hands. They bring Lot inside. And somehow they close the door as well. And what do they do? This miraculous light happens that comes out of them that blinds everybody. Mikaton v'ad gadol, from the youngest to the oldest. And they cannot find the opening. And here we see where Rashi points out what the Netivat said earlier. Mikaton v'ad gadol haktanim itchilu ba'aveirah tchila. The youngsters began the vayeirah first. The youngsters are the ones that wanted to show this is not what we do in our city. We don't have visitors. It's a complete breakdown of everything. You would think that that young people who don't have any negative feelings towards people. We know when children get together, no matter what color, creed, doesn't make a difference, they play together. But here, mikatona gadol means the youngest children, that Sodom had taught their children to be so evil and so bad that those are the first ones that were there, and therefore they get punished first. And they can't find the opening. By Yomra Nashim Lot, and therefore the people say to Lot, Admi lechap, Odmi lechapo, who's with you here as well? Chatan v'anecha b'notecha, sons-in-laws, sons, daughters-in-laws, Chol asher lecha b'ir. Who are they? Hoitzim min hamakom. We've got to get everybody out. Hold on a second, darling. Ki mashchitim anachnu et hamakom hazeh, because we're going to destroy this place. Because their cries come out great before HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Why or only now, after this episode, do they say we want to get you out? Because if you remember, we said that HaKadosh Baruch Hu came down, he wanted to see what was going on. How was he seeing? He brought the Malachim at a certain time. At a certain time to experience the Hachnasas Orchim Alek thereof, of Sodom. And here the Malachim have experienced the most depraved behavior from all of the people of Sodom, from the youngest to the oldest. It's so ingrained in them not to be Balei Chesed. And if you're not a Baal Chesed, if one is unable to bring Chesed into the world, then you have no space in the world. And therefore, HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, it's now time to destroy the city of Sodom. We'll stop there and continue with Ezrat Hashem.